All right, check it out, boys and ghouls. This is Dr. O. As promised, I told you that I would do a little bit of a Halloween video that would allow you to understand the basic osteology and see how simple it can be. If you would just turn to your Marib, Elaine Marib, I believe it's exercise 9, 8 and 9, the skeletal system. There's the axial skeleton and the appendicular skeleton. Here you see, let's start here. Check out, my wife did this beautiful Halloween, spooky Halloween display. So let's just see the things we can pick out. Let's look at this bugger here. It almost looks like a nutcracker, Halloween version of a nutcracker. Well, what can we see? We can see the skull and the face. And the eyes are not called eyes, or eye sockets are not called eye sockets, they're called orbits. And we can see that there's the nasal cavity. And if we remember all the different aspects of the skull and face, those myriad bones, you've got the frontal bone, think about it, and your temporal bones, and your occipital bone, the back of your head, and the two parietals up on top of your head, your skull, which are right underneath this gentleman's top hat. Then you've got the, You got the spine, you see it a little bit in the background, and then the ribs, rib cage. There's a cervical, thoracic, and lumbar spine. I can see bits of the thoracic and lumbar spine here, and we can assume behind this bow tie is the cervical spine. Then we've got the antebrachial bone, otherwise known as the humerus, and that is your upper arm bone, right? And you can see where the elbow might be in this artistic rendition, and then we would have two bones in the forearm. The thumb side long bone of the forearm is called the radius, and the pinky side long bone that goes all the way up to your elbow and creates that point on the back of your elbow is the ulna. That's the olecranon process of the ulna. Then we can see the bony pelvis, which consists of a sacrum in the middle, triangular bone, and two innominate bones, otherwise known as the os coxa, which come together, one on each side of the sacrum. And then that's the bony pelvis, and there's a little bit of a pubic symphysis, which is made by fibrocartilage. In the lower body, we've got, attaching to the pelvic girdle, we've got the femur, the longest, strongest bone in the body. And then we've got two long bones in the shin. And they are called the tibia and the fibula. Then the ankle bones are the tarsals and the metatarsals and phalanges are below. So, hey, just to take a look at that. Here we got a cool multiple skull skeleton sconce, and you can see it's really quite detailed if you remember our specimens inside the lab. So we can see the frontal bone, even that supraorbital ridge, and the orbits, and you see the vomer, which is the very point and the inferior aspect of the nasal cavity, and frontal bone, temporal bones. You see the mandible there, the jawbone, the mandible. You can see the zygomatics, left and right. And you can see the teeth, and teeth plug into what are called alveolar processes, whether we're talking of the maxilla, upper row, or the friggin' mandible. The alveolar process of the mandible would be below. If I stuck a little pin or friggin' pipe cleaner in there, that would be the alveolar process of the mandible and or the maxilla. What else? You can see the humerus, the upper arm bone there. You can see the clavicle, and it's kind of swervy S-shaped presentation there as it attaches to the sternum. Good detail on the sternum and its components. Superiorly, where those two clavicles come together, we've got the manubrium, and then the body is called the gladiolus. And then that little point down here that we've got to be careful about when we do our Heimlich maneuver, that is called the xiphoid process of the sternum. So we're going to name the bone and name the part. There's the lumbar spine. There's 5 lumbar vertebrae. You can see an innominate bone on either side. The top part that your belt would fit over is called the ilium. And the ischium is the bone that you're sitting on right now. And then the pubis is in the front. And again, the fibrocartilage that holds those two pubic rami, as they're called, together. What else we got? All right. here is the spine. Looks like a low back aspect. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is indeed the lumbar spine. These vertebral bodies are kind of look like marshmallows. And then posteriorly, we can palpate as we run our fingers down our back these spinous processes. And then left and right, we have transverse processes. In between each vertebrae, we've got a disc, intervertebral discs. So that is your lumbar spine. There's 5 lumbar vertebrae. Mid-back is your thoracic spine, and there are 12. And your cervical spine has 7. And remember, there's a bump right at the base of your neck. That is your 7th, represents your 7th cervical vertebrae, and its nickname is vertebra prominens. Here is a foot. Look at your foot. This is a left one. All right, we've got the tarsals, which make up the ankle. The most superior tarsal here is called the talus. That's that kind of rounded structure, a half-moon structure up top. And then the bone you're standing or stepping on when you go heel-toe gait is the one down here. And that is called the calcaneus, so your heel bone. There's another bone that kind of is shaped like a moon. You see this one right here. It kind of looks like a half moon. They call that the navicular. And then these buggers right here are the cuneiforms. There's the medial, intermediate, and lateral cuneiforms. Finally, we've got the foot bones right in there. The foot bones, long bones of the foot, are called the metatarsals. And these are the phalanges. They're all numbered from the big toe. That's number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And so this would be the first metatarsal, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. This is a cool feature over here on the 5th metatarsal. It's called the metatarsal styloid. 5th metatarsal styloid kind of sticks out as a bump on your foot. Palpate it now. And then we've got the phalanges, proximal, middle, and distal phalanx of the first digit. Proximal, middle, and distal phalanx of the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. There's a plantar surface of the foot. You can see all the same structures. Boom. What do we got here? What is this? Oh my God. This is actually your ulna, okay? The long bone, pinky side long bone. See, it looks like an ice cream scoop a little bit there. The back side of that ice cream scoop is the olecranon process. If I were to beat you in an arm wrestling contest, and I would, this is what I would rest my elbow on, that bump right there. That's who you deliver an elbow strike with. So that's the olecranon process of the ulna, and then down towards the pinky, right there, you see there's a little bump on my pinky side where my long bones of the forearm meet the wrist. That is called the ulnar styloid. So that's this one right here, this little bump on the end. What are the kind of bones we have? Longest, strongest, most powerful bone in the body that a cave person would maybe strike a pterodactyl as it would swoop down back in the day. This is your femur. And this top part is the ball and socket joint, represents the ball of the femur or the head of the femur, otherwise known as the epiphysis. And this bump right here is called the greater trochanter. If there's a greater trochanter, there's a lesser trochanter. They are bumps because they're muscular attachments. This is the shaft or diaphysis of a long bone. And then finally, this is down by your knee, femur down by your knee. These two things are the condyles, those two bumps right there. They roll as you position them on your knee. See if I can take a little photo of that. See, that's how it fits like there. So those rounded structures right there are going to fit into the top of my tibia, and it's going to allow me to flex and extend like that. Posterior aspect of the femur. Now, if this is the femur superiorly, this is the tibia, the long bone of the leg. All right, and we've got this little spike that sticks up in the middle. It's called the intercondylar eminence, and this is the tibial plateau. And this is the tibial tuberosity. Palpate it now. It's down just inferior to your kneecap. It's a bump, muscular attachment. There's the epiphysis of the tibia, the diaphysis, and this is the tibial, the styloid process, or actually the medial epicondyle is this bump down there, medial epicondyle of the tibia. Check this out. Oh my gosh. So if this is a foot, this is a hand. Same sort of thing. Whereas the ankle bones are the tarsals, the wrist bones are the carpals. There are 8, all right? Be able to name them. Be able to name them according to the ditty, the little jingle. Some lovers try positions that they can't handle. There's the scaphoid, and then the lunate, and then the trapezoid, and triposition, and then the pisiform, and then the triquetrum, and then the capitate and the hamate. So there's 8 of these bones. If you can name them and you can identify them, that's totally awesome. The carpals. The long bones of the hand are the metacarpals, right here. So they're like right in the meat of my hand here. My metacarpals are in there. And then, if I've got metacarpals, right there, the phalanges are distal to that, and we can see this would be the 3rd digit, counting from the thumb. It's number 1, 2, 3. 3rd row, and this is the proximal phalanx of the 3rd digit. Intermediate phalanx, or middle phalanx, and then the distal phalanx of the 3rd digit. Easy peasy for us, yes, yes? So look for your Halloween stuff, your decor, if you have any. If you don't, I feel bad for you. And then try to identify these basic things, and then study your butt off using your Marie manual. And I will see you folks on the 23rd, I believe it is, because we have fall break this week. All the same structures are right there. Go to Lowe's, get yourself a discount, or a dollar store, get yourself a discount little skeleton that you can. Man, look at that guy. He is handsome. Get yourself a little training aid at the dollar store or Lowe's or wherever that you can study with. Yes, yes? And you're going to do fine on the exam. The detail is quite remarkable, especially in this little plastic structure here. Cheapo stuff, yes?